Hey everyone, my name is Satoshi. It's not really, I'm taking the piss. Do not sue me. Let's talk about this. This is quite a big topic right now. It's kind of hard to imagine what's going to happen in the future, really, when you think of all this. My personal opinions are going to come out in this video. I want to talk a lot about why centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges need a bit of clarification on what they can and can't do. But mainly decentralized exchanges are required, so is regulation. Personal opinion, not fact. So let's talk about it. Who he is, we don't know yet. Why he's a dick, we know that. But ultimately, this kind of video is going to show you what I think about the industry, certainly. At the end of the video, I'm going to hopefully share with you some good examples of decentralized exchanges and why they kind of do matter. But a lot of people are up in arms at the moment with Craig Wright claiming to be fake Satoshi, so I want to go into more detail as in why that is pissing people off. But there's a lot of things on this video that will hopefully give you some nice insights on the industry and why this is kind of massive in the way that this dark chapter should be ending in cryptocurrency, because I think he's an absolute fucking frobber. That is my personal opinion. So I'm 7 away from 800 subscribers. Smash up a like. If you don't like this video, hit the thumbs down. Don't care. Say a little comment or whatever, and you know, say hello, join my Telegram group, and yeah, have a bit of fun. So I'll see you in a second. Right, let's talk about it. Fuck this shit. So, Craig Wright, I'll go through him in a bit more detail in a minute, but if you go on all the social media, there's a lot of posts about it and why it's kind of mattering right now. So everyone is basically delisting it, okay? BSV, Bitcoin Satoshi vision, it's fucking bollocks. Should never have been listed in the first place. It was absolutely bollocks. The whole fork and the whole hash war was an absolute pain in the arse. The back end of last year, if you remember that far back. But everyone is delisting it. Makes sense, really, because it's a heap of shit. But the reason why is because Craig Wright is claiming to be Satoshi, but he's also suing everyone in the world that think he is not. He is claimed to be a lawyer. He's claimed to be this, that, and the other. He's claimed all these kind of fucking things and forged documents, and he's actually pretty much a criminal with what he's doing. I just find it really, really hard to comprehend. Like, when you look back at the history of Bitcoin, in my honest opinion, there's two people that stand out as the creators of Bitcoin, who we know of. You've got the late Hal Finney, and you've got Nick Szabo. That's my personal opinion. You can have a look at who these people are. Hal's a legend in the space. Did the first ever transaction, or received the first ever transaction of Bitcoin. Nick Szabo in the early 90s was talking quite openly in format before the internet, really, about smart contracts and digital gold. So he has a massive influence in the space, and there's always little links and nods to him. But it's kind of discrediting to the space as someone is claiming to be Satoshi after all this time, with no real fact. It's really, really easy to prove if you are or you're not. You just get the keys of the Genesis block, essentially, and open up that original wallet. That'll be it. That is all you need to do. Not happened yet, has it? No. So, obviously, some porcupines are out. And to be honest with you, if that happened, it would create a massive shitstorm. And to be honest with you, asking yourself a question here, would you want to be known as Satoshi Nakamoto, given what Bitcoin is all about? Given that it's against the state, it's against, well, not so much against the state, fuck me, it's not that bad. But, you know, it's opposition, isn't it? So it's different. It's a bit different. It's a bit radical. So it could, you know, yeah. Anyways, let's talk about it. So, Binance yesterday, there was a warning about it. A few days before, CZ was on Twitter going, right, cut the shit or I'll delist you. And he's delisted. So there was obviously a warning coming from probably the attorney's office from Craig Wright to ye old Binance head office, and that's probably went, you know what, fuck this. If you're going to sue me for having an opinion, you can fuck off. And that's probably what just happened, just behind closed doors. So what's happening is pretty much all exchanges at the moment are going to be delisting this version of Bitcoin. It's a heap of crap anyways. No one cares. Everyone uses Bitcoin still. Bitcoin Cash is an alternative if you're really, really struggling or if you press the wrong button. But this guy has literally fooled everyone, and there's some really, really good information on this article here. So this here is Craig Wright is not Satoshi. Any more of this shit we delist. That was a warning sign. That was a fucking Willie bollocks Willie. Yeah, he did. 3 days later. And that's what happened yesterday. Do the right thing. It's gone. Go away. Now, this stuff here, Peter McCormack, very, very influential in the UK. Got a podcast. He's also been sued against. And he actually promoted it openly on his Twitter. So I'll find that at some point during this video, I hope. And he has literally openly put it on his Twitter. And yeah, it's quite good to read. But he's also done a funny response to it. But you know, you can read that, check him out, it's pretty cool. He is the podcast creator of What Bitcoin Did. But yeah, there's all these influential people that are getting sued by this person who's claiming to be Satoshi Nakamoto. I don't think he'd do it, personally. Anyways, in terms of this, what does it mean for the industry? It's a dark chapter, considering you go back from November time, where the fork happened, and to now. He keeps coming up with videos and saying that, oh, he's going to release certain malware issues to do with SegWit and to do with certain elements within the Bitcoin protocol. It's all fabrication, it's all bullshit to create fear. I personally think there's some underlying issues within his personality to kind of claim to be someone he's not. Because, as I mentioned before, it is really easy to prove who he is if he has the master key to that wallet. If he is Satoshi Nakamoto, he created the Genesis block, which would be the first ever block, the first wallet to do the transaction. It's there, it's all listed in the blockchain. There's obviously Bitcoin in it. Just do it. Fucking do it. Anyways, another article. Again, this is the one I mentioned before about Peter McCormack. I just remember that I had it on the next slide. This was the actual lawsuit given to him. Now, he's also took the piss majorly. But yeah, this is the actual letter. I'll put the link in the description, but it's pretty fucking mental when you look at all the stuff that's happening with the industry. We're going against each other, we shouldn't be. And ultimately, it's all about a tweet. Quite pathetic. Open source media, public opinion. What have we had this week? We've had WikiLeaks bullshit of fucking, freedom of speech. Fuck me. It's awful at the minute. So, you can't even have an opinion about someone, and I'll probably get sued for this. Jokes, I'm not that big. But yeah, it's massively... It's just mad. It really is mad when you think about someone tweeting about someone. So that's the... that's that bit. But he's also got it here. There's all kinds of arguments going on at the minute. It's crazy at the minute. But if I just click down a little bit, this is his actual response, and his response here is just sheer comedy, and he's actually sent this back to them, and he's known himself as the King of Bedford and stuff like that, a Nobel winner, Grammy nominee, dolphin trainer, Instagram influencer, giraffe tech tight. He's taken the piss completely, and there's a lot of stuff on here. Peter McCormack, age 40. He's trying to basically do exactly what Craig Wright has done in terms of claiming he is who he is, and he's not. And this goes on to here. Now, you've got this about being a lawyer. Craig Wright has claimed in the past that he is a lawyer, and then he comes back. It comes back to bite him, really, because in the original post on Bitcoin Talk, when he's got Satoshi, there's all kinds of stuff about him. I'm not a lawyer. I cannot answer that. So there's a lot of questions that people asked about Bitcoin in the early days, about certain things, certain regulations, certain issues. And Satoshi, the real Satoshi, claimed, I am not a lawyer. I cannot possibly answer that. Makes sense, right? But then you've got all kinds of stuff stating that Craig Wright on the internet is a lawyer, and he claims it numerous times, and he's also he's fucked off Twitter basically, completely, because he keeps getting hate. But there's all kinds of comments on here. There's all kinds of good stuff to read about this, and if you put in Craig Wright in Reddit, there's some cracking stuff in there. Definitely worth a look. But in terms of if you want to know who he is, just Google him and you'll find a lot of shit about him. And you'll also find a lot of disproved lies, a lot of documentation. There's also WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks, sorry. They have actually claimed in the past that fabrication of documents back in 2015. They've also claimed that he is on the Australian watch list in terms of tax evasion. There's all kinds of stuff about him on the internet space, which is very, very damaging and worrying for him. So, him suing everyone who's going against him, you know, it's certainly interesting. Let's talk about Vitalik. Vitalik has also said the following: why is this fraud allowed to speak in this conference? That was stated in a YouTube video when he was actually talking about certain things. Kind of damaging when you think that the lead man of Ethereum is even saying the exact same things as most people in the space. And it just goes that there's no smoke without fire. And realistically, when you look at the industry, Craig Wright is a massive fraud. He doesn't have any substance in the industry in terms of backing himself up. He's just got a bit of power and a bit of money because of people who actually do believe him. Very, very few now, I imagine. And when you look at the actual price of... let's have a little look at the price of the coin. It's probably tanked majorly. Look, oh, there it is. I was looking at the biggest loss. 21% down. It's lost about 300 million by the looks of things from yesterday. Oh, Jesus Christ. What was it to peak? Yeah, it's lost over nearly 300 million. Just under. Wow. Or even, well, a lot more over that time. Look at that period here. Whoa. Oosh. Where was that peak of market cap? 1.6 billion. It's now 900 million. Crazy. Just under a billion. So, you know, a lot of valuation has been lost there. And what is pumped in its place? Bitcoin Cash. Wow. So everyone's went, I'm going to pump this now. Crazy. Crazy how the world works, isn't it? Look at that. Hey. Well, to be honest with you, since the 1st of April, Bitcoin Cash has done pretty well. So that kind of concludes what I think about this guy. He's been an absolute complete nonce. But that's my personal opinion. Don't sue me. Do your research. If you just literally Google Craig... Oh, God. My internet browser is shit. Craig Wright. You can put in fraud if you want, but just put in Craig Wright. I'll put in fraud, because there's all kinds. If you go in the news, you'll see fucking everything. You'll see loads. There's absolutely loads and loads. But it's a... Oh, it is. I don't really care about that. Go away, Google News. If you just go on all... You'll see images, you'll see all kinds of different articles, you'll see everything. But in terms of who he actually physically is, you can check out his Wikipedia. He has a Wikipedia, which is pretty crazy. If I just go into... There he is. Look at him. He's had better days, hasn't he? But yeah, this is all the industry kind of information, and it kind of explains certain things. But also remember, this can be edited, so don't take that as fact. He could have edited all that, but look at him. He looks really rough that day. So yeah, just be very, very careful of who you believe in the space. But let's talk about exchanges. Let's talk about decentralized exchanges and centralized exchanges. Now, what is the problem? The problem is, as people say, well, Binance are delisting things on kind of, what's the word? A grudge? We'll say grudge. So, obviously, CZ doesn't like the fact that Craig Wright is doing X, Y, and Z, which is fair enough. I wouldn't either. But it kind of calls the play of manipulation that, oh, he can just list and delist anyone he wants. Kind of, that's the issue, right? So, what do we need in the future? Now, we've got centralized exchanges, CCE, centralized currency exchanges, essentially. Then you've got, obviously, decentralized ones, the DEX. That is how they work. Now, the biggest problem you've got is liquidity. You've got Binance, Bittrex, Bitfinex, Coinbase, and Kraken as the main ones, right? They're the ones with the most liquidity currently. Disregard the wash trading and all the other shitty ones. But you've also got these waves. You've got Bancor, Kyber, Ether Delta, and AirSwap. They're the biggest ones-ish. But they're shit amount of... there's bollocks on them. The reason why there's an issue with the cryptocurrency space is because the liquidity is so low on these dexes, which is a problem. Now, they're brilliant because they're on the blockchain. You can't get them hacked. They're totally away from all the centralized world and all the corruption and bullshit. But if you've got no liquidity, you can't use them because you can't do your buy and sell orders. That's the biggest problem. Now, whether this is a bad thing or not, I don't know. This will have to improve. Now, Binance are creating a decentralized exchange. The problem is, it's a centralized company. Now, why is that an issue? If they can just agree and disagree on who they want to add on, that's a problem. Now, what we need in the industry is a voting system where it is a decentralized voting system on a decentralized exchange where people can vote for coins to be listed. That would make it fairer. However, there's still manipulation involved in that because you can have bigger communities and they obviously win. The smaller ones will never get on. So there's always going to be issues with that. Or you can have a decentralized exchange that lists everything in the world, and that'll be it. Done. Just list everything. Doesn't matter. No issues. Make it completely free, and any coin can get on it. If it's a big exchange, cool, you win. So that's my personal opinion on it. But I do think we need regulation. So I think we need some guidelines into listing protocols and delisting protocols. The biggest problem we had with SV, sorry. It was already pre-agreed that it was going to be listed on Binance way before the fork and way before the whole fallout and the bullshit that happened when it all went tits up completely wrong, essentially. So just, do a bit of research as to what a fork is all about and why it kind of caused a bit of drama. But this is what the fallout is from it. A shitcoin that is now being delisted because the guy who's running it is a fraud. That is it. That's the conclusion of this video. So I'm going to stop talking now because I'm losing my voice. So I hope this has kind of described a few reasons as to why there's issues in the market space, but honestly I do think that decentralized exchanges need to improve. I think there needs to be more liquidity and more trust with them, but I also think they need to be easier to use, because that's the problem. If they are harder to use, not everyone can use them. Binance is really, really easy to use, Coinbase is really easy to use, but these decentralized exchanges, when you click on them, they're pretty crazy. They're all kinds of it's just all totally random, but it does work. They do work. They're pretty cool. They all sync to your wallet, but not everyone has a wallet. Not everyone has a distributed ledger of their own. So that's the problem as well. So there we go. Whew. Subscribe. There we go.